You're watching TT India Live, India's Voice to the World. I'm Lipag Shukurana. Coming up in the next 30 minutes. India celebrates Constitution Day today. President Draupadi Murmu will lead celebrations at the old Parliament building's historic Central Hall. Vice President, Prime Minister, Speaker of Lok Sabha and others to attend. India hits back at Beijing for calling Arunachal Pradesh China's part after detention of an Indian citizen, says Arunachal Pradesh is an integral and inalienable part of India. US envoy Steve Witkoff will meet with Putin next week as Trump removes Thursday deadline for reaching the deal. Zelensky welcomes principles of new US draft to end conflict. And Brazil's ex-president Jair Bolsonaro starts serving 27-year sentence for coup plot. And on to the details now. President Draupadi Murmu will lead celebrations to mark Constitution Day at the old Parliament building's historic Central Hall on Wednesday. Well, the celebrations will see participation of the Vice President, Prime Minister, Speaker of Lok Sabha, members of Parliament from both the houses, among others. And this year marks the 76th anniversary of adoption of its constitution by the Constituent Assembly. President will lead the reading of the preamble to the Constitution of India during the program. Further, translated version of Constitution of India will be released in 9 languages, including Malayalam, Marathi, Nepali, Punjab, Bodo, Kashmiri, Telugu, Odia and Assamese. A commemorative booklet, Bharat ke Samvidhan mein Kala or Calligraphy or Art and Calligraphy in India's Constitution, will also be released during the program. And moving on, India on Tuesday issued one of its strongest recent statements against China after arbitrary detention of an Indian citizen from Arunachal Pradesh at Shanghai's Pudong International Airport in spite of holding a valid passport. Now, the Ministry of External Affairs in New Delhi sharply rejected Beijing's claims. Responding to media queries, the ministry spokesperson Randhir Jaiswal reaffirmed New Delhi's unequivocal stance on Arunachal Pradesh. He said, and I quote, Arunachal Pradesh is an integral and inalienable part of India, and this is a self-evident fact. No amount of denial by the Chinese side is going to change this indisputable reality. The issue of the detention has been taken up strongly with the Chinese side. Chinese authorities have still not been able to explain their actions, which are in violation of several conventions governing international air travel. The actions by the Chinese authorities also violate their own regulations that allow visa-free transit up to 24 hours for nationals of all countries. She was also transiting through Shanghai International Airport on her onward travel to Japan. And marking a huge step towards the goal of Atmanirbharta or self-reliance in the aviation sector, Prime Minister Narendra Modi will inaugurate the Safran Aircraft Engine Services India or SAESI facility in Hyderabad via video conferencing. SAESI is Safran's dedicated maintenance, repair and overall facility for LEAP or the leading-edge aviation propulsion engines which power the Airbus A320neo and Boeing 737 MAX aircraft. The establishment of this facility marks a significant milestone, and it is not only one of the largest global aircraft engine MRO facilities but also the first time a global engine OEM, original equipment manufacturer, has set up an MRO operation in India. And an atmosphere, celebration and enthusiasm adorns Uttar Pradesh's Ayodhya, the birthplace of Lord Ram, as Prime Minister Narendra Modi hoisted the saffron-coloured flag on the temple's pinnacle, symbolizing the completion of the temple's construction and ushering in a new chapter of cultural celebration and national unity. RSS Chief Dr. Mohan Bhagwat and Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath were also present on the occasion. Prime Minister Modi termed the occasion as historic, highlighting the significance of the Dharma Dhwaj.
ये धर्म ध्वजा केवल एक ध्वजा नहीं, ये भारतीय सभ्यता के पुनर्जागरण का ध्वज है। इसका भगवा रंग, इस पर रचित सूर्यवंश की ख्याति, वर्णित ओम शब्द और अंकित कोविदार वृक्ष राम राज्य की कीर्ति को प्रतिरूपित करता है। ये ध्वज संकल्प है, ये ध्वज सफलता है, ये ध्वज संघर्ष से सृजन की गाथा है, ये ध्वज सदियों से चले आ रहे स्वप्नों का साकार स्वरूप है। ये ध्वज संतों की साधना और समाज की सहभागिता की सार्थक परिणति है। साथियों, आने वाली सदियों और सहस्त्र शताब्दियों तक ये धर्म ध्वज प्रभु राम के आदर्शों और सिद्धांतों का उद्घोष करेगा।
And moving on, Union Minister of Commerce and Industry Piyush Goyal called for stronger collaboration between the centre and states to boost India's export growth and generate more employment opportunities. He was addressing the fourth meeting of the reconstituted Board of Trade in New Delhi, where 24 states participated in the meeting and ministers from 9 states were present. Goyal said despite global challenges, India remains the shining star economy of the world. He said that India is accelerating free trade agreement negotiations with several countries, including the European Union, New Zealand, Oman, Chile, Peru and Canada. Talks with the Russian-led Eurasian Economic Union are also in motion. Goyal said that progress is being made on an early FTA with Israel as well, while states have demanded swift implementation of pending trade agreements so that industry can directly benefit.
Given the challenging circumstances across the world, India continues to be a shining star towards the various free trade agreements under negotiation, whether it is with the EU and US, whether it is with New Zealand and Oman, whether it is with Peru and Chile, whether it is the impending discussions that we are going to launch for a comprehensive economic partnership with Canada.
And 17 years ago, Mumbai faced one of the worst terror attacks in India's history. For nearly 60 hours, 10 heavily armed terrorists from Pakistan-based Lashkar-e-Taiba struck iconic locations across the city, killing 166 people, including security personnel and foreign nationals. India has repeatedly presented evidence proving Pakistan's role in planning and directing the assault and continues to push for action against the masterminds who remain free. We look back at the night that changed India's fight against terrorism.
On the night of 26th of November 2008, 10 terrorists entered Mumbai by sea after hijacking an Indian fishing boat. Splitting into teams, they opened fire and set off explosions at Chhatrapati Shivaji Terminus, the Taj Mahal Palace and Trident Hotels, Nariman House and other public spaces. For 3 days, Mumbai burned on live television. By the time commandos neutralized the last gunman, 166 people were dead and over 300 injured. Among the victims were Mumbai's finest ATS chief Hemant Karkade, Additional Commissioner Ashok Kamte, Encounter Specialist Vijay Salaskar and ASI Tukaram Omble, who died capturing and defending their motherland while fighting with the terrorists. Their courage, along with the restraint of the hotel staff and Mumbai police, saved hundreds of lives. The captured gunman Ajmal Kasab confessed to being trained in Pakistan by Lashkar-e-Toiba. His testimony, call intercepts, GPS data and international investigations showed the terrorists sailed from Karachi and were guided in real time by handlers across the border. Pakistan later acknowledged Kasab's nationality and global agencies identified Lashkar leaders as the key conspirators in the plot. Kasab was convicted in India and executed in 2012, but the masterminds, including Hafiz Saeed and Zakiur Rahman Lakfi, remain shielded in Pakistan. Trials there have moved slowly, with brief arrests but no meaningful convictions. The United States and the United Nations have sanctioned several Lashkar operatives, yet the accountability is incomplete without prosecution of those who planned, financed and directed the attacks. India has since strengthened coastal security, expanded NSG hubs and empowered the National Investigation Agency, reforms shaped directly by the 26/11 attacks. International cooperation has intensified, leading to cases against operatives like David Headley and the extradition of Tahawur Rana to face trial in India. As the nation pays tribute today, families say justice will be served only when every architect of the Mumbai attack is brought to book, no matter how long it takes. Bureau Report, DD India.
And moving on, India is celebrating National Milk Day today, marking the birth anniversary of Dr. Varghese Kurian, the father of the White Revolution. This day highlights the country's progress in milk production, cooperative reforms and women-led daring. Milk has long been at the heart of India's nutritional system, and today India is the world's largest milk producer, contributing nearly 1/4 of global output. Over the last 11 years, India's dairy sector has surged by 70%, supporting over 8 crore farmers, many of them women. Under the National Programme for Dairy Development, over 31,000 cooperative societies have been revived or formed, more than 61,000 village milk testing labs, 6,000 bulk milk coolers and several modern processing plants have been set up. Women remain central, with over 48,000 women-led cooperatives emerging nationwide. And now let's take a look at other stories making news today. Badrinath Dham's portals were ceremonially closed for the winter season. A large number of devotees gathered to offer prayers on the last day before priest Raval Amarnath Nambudiri performed the traditional rituals and formally closed the temple gates. The temple was adorned with 12 quintals of flowers, and the final darshan took place amid the soulful echoes of the song Bedu Pako Baramasa. In Jammu and Kashmir, in response to the dropping mercury, the Udhampur Wildlife Department's Tanderak Rescue Centre has been providing enhanced care for a herd of deer under its protection. Sheds have been built for 40 deer here that don't allow any wind to pass through. Food is also being ensured the animals so they stay warm. A veterinary doctor also visits them once a week to keep a check. More than 2 lakh migratory birds of 87 different species have arrived at Chilika Lake in Odisha, with this number expected to rise as the winter season continues. The Chilika Wildlife Division is implementing conservation measures, including 21 protection camps to ensure the safety of the birds from poaching. Chilika Wildlife Division DFO Amlan Naik said this year the number of migratory birds has exceeded 2 lakh compared to last year. And still to come in this edition of DD India Live. 24 schoolgirls freed after abduction in northwestern Nigeria as Tinubu urges stronger security. India faces monumental task on final day as South Africa sets 549 run target in Guwahati Test. And Sports Minister felicitates unbeaten Indian women's blind cricket team after historic T20 World Cup win.
This week on Defence Dynamics, India's DRDO and France's DGA have signed a pact on technology transfer, what it involves and why it is a game changer. Across the Atlantic, the United States has approved a possible sale of Javelin anti-tank missiles to India, small in size, strategic in impact, and another clearance of 216 Excalibur GPS-guided artillery rounds, boosting India's precision strike capability. Catch the sharpest analysis of power, posture and technology this Wednesday at 8 p.m. IST only on DD India.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India Live. I'm Lipakshi Kuran, and moving on, US President Donald Trump on Tuesday backed away from his earlier Thursday deadline for Ukraine to agree to a US-backed peace plan, saying the deadline for me is when it's over. Now, Trump said U.S. negotiators were making progress in discussions with Russia and Ukraine, and Moscow had agreed to some concessions. Trump said his envoy, Steve Witkoff, would be meeting with Russian President Vladimir Putin on Moscow, and his son-in-law, Jared Kushner, was also involved. President Volodymyr Zelensky said on Tuesday Ukraine was ready to advance a US-backed framework for ending conflict with Russia and discuss disputed points with President Trump. But Zelensky said any talks should also include Ukraine's European allies.
Now we have a good result from Geneva, and from the meetings and talks that took place there, Ukraine has the framework developed by our teams in Geneva. That framework is on the table, and we are ready to move forward together with the United States of America, with personal engagement of President Trump, and with Europe, with leaders, and with all partners who have their strengths and capacity to help. And I'm ready to meet with President Trump, and there are sensitive points to discuss. We have them still.
British Prime Minister Keir Starmer on Tuesday said that London was ready to move with the European Union on providing financial support to Ukraine based on the value of immobilized assets.
We must support Ukraine now. So even as we work towards peace, and we are, there can be no letting up of support to keep Ukraine in the fight. And that requires urgent solutions on things like financing and capability. We, the UK, are ready to move with the EU on providing financial support based on the value of the immobilized assets. This is the best way to show Putin he should negotiate rather than trying to outweight us.
French President Emmanuel Macron said France will finalize with other European Union countries a solution for providing financial support to Ukraine using frozen Russian assets. Macron also said the coalition will launch a working group led by France and Britain with close involvement from Turkey.
We are clearly at a crucial juncture. Negotiations are getting a new impetus, and we should seize this momentum, not because there is reason for alarm. Ukraine is solid, Russia is slow, and Europe is steadfast, but because there is finally a chance to make real progress toward a good peace. But the absolute condition for a good peace is a set of very robust security guarantees and not paper guarantees.
And Syrian security forces opened fire into the air on Tuesday to break up clashing groups of demonstrators in the coastal city of Latakia, the stronghold of the country's Alawite minority. Hundreds of Alawite protesters had gathered to demand a decentralized political system and the release of detainees they say were unjustly held by the new authorities. Government supporters soon arrived, trading insults with the group. About an hour into the rally, gunfire erupted in Agriculture Square, one of the main protest sites. Latakia's media chief, Noruddin El Brimo, said security forces intervened to disperse both the sides, while unidentified gunmen also fired at civilians and their officers. Now, the protest was called by Supreme Alawite Islamic Council Chief Ghazal, who urged peaceful demonstrations. Syria's President Ahmed al-Shara has vowed to rule for all Syrians, but the long civil war and recent violence continue to fuel fears of deeper instability. And Brazil's Supreme Court on Tuesday ordered former far-right President Jair Bolsonaro to begin 27-year prison sentence for a coup plot against his successor, a climax to years of political turmoil. Now, the top court formally concluded the case against Bolsonaro, making his conviction final pending confirmation by a four-member Supreme Court panel in the evening. The panel already rejected his appeal this month. While Congressman Eduardo Bolsonaro, the former president's son, said that Bolsonaro's prosecution was psychological torture and a rigged game.
All that he's going through stems from psychological pressure, a form of psychological torture, as he himself says, because someone who needs an electronic bracelet, someone who is already under house arrest, known throughout the country and even more, so with armed security at his door 24 hours a day and surveillance cameras, then the truth is that all the pressure is coming down on Jair Bolsonaro. If an amnesty law is passed, it will cease.
Well, Bolsonaro supporters and critics gathered outside Brazil's federal police headquarters in Brasilia on Tuesday after the sentence. Supporters argued with Bolsonaro loyalists, some of whom carried banners asking for amnesty for all political prisoners and exiles. Bolsonaro also served more than 100 days under house arrest in Brasilia while facing charges he solicited Trump's interference on his behalf. And 24 schoolgirls abducted from a government boarding school in northwestern Nigeria last week have been freed, the Kebbi State Governor's media aide confirmed on Tuesday. Well, the students were taken on November 17th after armed men stormed the school just moments after a military unit left the area, an attack that sparked a series of similar kidnappings across Kwara and Niger states. President Bola Tinubu welcomed the girls' safe return, urging security agencies to intensify operations to rescue others still in captivity. He said he was relieved at all 24 victims had been found and called for urgent deployment of more personnel to vulnerable regions to prevent further abductions. Mass kidnappings for ransom remain widespread in northern Nigeria, while heavily armed gangs frequently overwhelm local security forces. And on to some sports news now. India will look to pull off the miracle against South Africa when Day 5 of the second and final test resumes in Guwahati. The host is staring at another home series loss after being given a mammoth target of 549 runs by South Africa to win the second and final test match and draw the series. At the close of fourth day's play, India were at 27 runs with the loss of 2 wickets and Doordarshan at the crease, along with night watchman Kuldeep Yadav. The hosts need another 522 runs with a day left to pull off a miracle. Earlier, South Africa declared their innings at 260 runs for 5 wickets after taking a lead of 548 runs. With the match heavily tilted in South Africa's favour, India now faces a monumental job, that is to bat out nearly 3 sessions to salvage a draw or somehow script one of the greatest chases in Test history. And India's Sports Minister Dr. Mansukh Mandavia felicitated the Indian women's blind cricket team at its residence in New Delhi for winning the inaugural Blind 2020 World Cup in Sri Lanka. The minister praised their courage, discipline and the inspiration they've given to millions. The blind women's team defeated Nepal by 7 wickets in the final played in Colombo, Sri Lanka on Sunday and remained undefeated throughout the tournament. The tournament featured 6 teams: Nepal, India, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, Australia and the United States of America. The blind Indian cricket team's victory came closely on the heels of the Indian women team's first ever ICC Cricket World Cup victory on home soil. Well, the city of Ayodhya witnessed a spectacular laser show at the Ram Janambhoomi Mandir. Take a look. Alright, that's all for this edition of DD India Live, but let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India across the world on the DD India mobile app. The app is available in both Android and iOS platforms. Scan the QR code on the screen to download now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Lipakshi Khurana from All of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India Live.